T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to WWT Live, Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Of course, we are here to bring you all the latest news in professional wrestling. You know, honestly, it's been a pretty tame couple of days, I must say, for once in pro wrestling. I mean, at least compared to months past. But of course, I am not alone. I am joined by the professor, Mr. Bonner. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Ella?
I'm fantastic to be speaking with you today. I'm super excited. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Ron, thank you for tuning in. Hope everybody is doing well. We hope you are doing well. Of course, we got some interesting stories here today. No, JD, TK is just a little late today. She should be here in a couple minutes. And we do have a little another, not guest, but co-host here today, our good friend Kane McCoy. Better late than never. You know, how are you, Kane?
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? It's good to be back, everybody.
Welcome back. You were on an extended leave, sir.
Well, see, what had happened was, right? You guys wouldn't believe this, but there was a situation that occurred. And in this situation, I decided to go to another fledgling Women's Wrestling Talk podcast. They were pretty good. You know, they were pretty dope. I mean, it wasn't my choice. I was actually released by WWT Live. It didn't really make the trades like that. I kind of wanted to keep it under. I kept my mouth closed, and I went there for a little bit, but it was filled with just like friends and petulant children who you really couldn't work with. And you know, I tried to make it the #1 women's wrestling talk podcast in the world. And like I did, we made it happen. And last week we had a ceremony to like present all the new Burberry custom graphics. And in the midst of this happening, I got pushed in the back of the head and I got stretchered off. So now, you know, I'm back here suddenly. So I'm happy to be back. It's almost like I was never gone. Just like, don't pay attention to whatever happens. And I'm here.
You're here. No WWE shop credit card here. Did you have to? That probably paid for your medical bills, though, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I used. That and of course Obamacare. And you know, I decided to not really blast the other company and just have a very regal approach to how I handle business.
Well, we're happy to have you back after such a stressful and, you know, maybe possible coma-inducing tenure at whatever this other.
You know, people apparently they said I was supposed to be there for 3 years, but I decided to just kind of have it out and just come back here. So you know, I was like, I can't work with this. I'm just gonna come back here. See you guys later.
Casey, thank you for joining. And you know, I did say she would be a little late, so please welcome Miss TK Trinidad. The people were wondering where you were at.
Hey y'all! Wow, it's been it's like if I can only say, but it's been quite a morning. I feel like my boobs are very exposed, so excuse me for that.
Well, it's the reason why I came back to this podcast. This is why I came back. I was like, you guys should have led with that. You guys should have led with that.
Sorry. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, remember to always check out our new Brand Army account, brandarmy.com/WWT live.
Here we go.
Yes.
Looks like today. Do we need to feature Never Change
TK
already?
Looks like TK today is TTK.
Wow. I'll give you that.
He took himself out. I didn't even have to take him out.
Boy. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. We have to.
It is Wednesday.
New Brand Army account.
I mean, Kane's keeping on trend with hump day, it seems. But anyways, Casey, I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But we got an exciting lineup of news here today. I mean, I always pronounce their family name wrong. I think it's Anoa'i. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but we have another Anoa'i family member now starting to train in professional wrestling. A couple days ago on Raw, you might have seen a little homage to the late Umaga from Solo Sikoa. But Umaga's son is now joining Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's training school. He announced today, actually, Reality of Wrestling announced today that he will be training there. So another Anoa'i family member, another member of the bloodline, the Uso and Roman Reigns' cousin, is going to be starting to train. Now, of course, Umaga made his debut in 1999 and unfortunately passed in 2009, but his son is keeping on the tradition of his family. And at this point, there's definitely way more family members in that family that are wrestlers than not, I think. I was just looking at the family tree today, but we have another possible future bloodline member down the line, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like TK Trinidad is going to have to update her Samoan Dynasty picture.
I know, right?
We're going to have to add another seat at the table. I mean, this spells fears for the rest of the WWE roster because it's very clear that Roman Reigns got hella cousins and he would never lose the undisputed WWE Universal Galaxy Nebula Championship.
Now, I don't know if it's Zilla Fatu or Zia Fatu, depending how you pronounce it, but I'm sure he'll get repackaged with a name. It just always happens.
I think it's one of those points that if we know that he's fam, then we might as well just include him in the bloodline and find a way to make that happen and not ignore it. I think it's dope, man. Like we saw the tribute on Monday night from Solo Sikoa to his will be Uncle Umaga by doing the Samoan spike or whatnot. So to see this news follows that is like, okay, we see what's happening here. And of course, Booker T has an incredible pipeline coming from the Reality of Wrestling to WWE. There's several WWE superstars who trained under Booker T. So it looks like we're going to have another one here.
Well, and that would include the Usos. So, it certainly makes a lot of sense that Zilla would make his way to the space.
He'll be named Uga backwards.
Which would be Umaga back.
Agamu, it sounds pretty on trend, not gonna lie. That sounds pretty good, actually, honestly.
Yeah. So, I think it's going to be great. And again, obviously, Booker T with a long-standing relationship with that family. So it makes a whole lot of sense. And if Booker T's training of the Usos means anything, we're going to have something special on our way.
And Jeff, thank you for joining here on Twitch. Of course, we're also available on Facebook and YouTube as well. Do we think, how far do we think? I don't know. I don't know if Zilla has any athletic background, but definitely has it in his blood. He's just starting to train. How soon do we think he could actually maybe join the bloodline?
Ooh, I mean, I'll say, will we see him because remember, this is through Reality of Wrestling training school. This isn't through NXT. We don't know when we're going to see the next NXT Performance Center recruits come out. I think maybe it's during WrestleMania season is when they have the tryouts. So unfortunately, I don't think
they're having tryouts this week. Actually, Kylie Ray and Casey Navarro are actually there.
Interesting.
Well, like the newer one, like we saw Miss Smiley Callie, but he's not listed under this current recruiting class. So they might have the next one maybe come WrestleMania weekend or something like that. And by then,
probably more Rumble weekend, I think.
Rumble, you think this close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they usually will do like the major event and do something in that city. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something Rumble weekend in San Antonio.
We've seen Roxanne Perez coming out of Booker T's Reality of Wrestling.
Right.
Kylie Ray was at Reality of Wrestling for a bit too, actually, as well.
Interesting.
Athena. So they've had a few people come out of that school as well, and a lot of people that are on the radar of WWE and or signed. So I mean, I'm excited to see. I'm sure we'll find out of the current tryouts who makes that cut. We don't know the rest of the people really. The major names were Kylie and Casey, but I'm sure other names will be emerging from that kind of tryout cluster soon.
And we also have a Fatu in the in MLW too. So we
Jacob Fatu.
He'll go
Jacob
straight
Fatu.
WWE. I mean, there's other. I mean, yes, it makes sense to add to the bloodline, but it depends on the storyline. Like if the bloodline is all broken up by the time Rumble is or WrestleMania, then it wouldn't make as much sense. Then they can almost form another bloodline in MLW, which would make for a good storyline as well, and almost dominate all of the promotions. So we never know. He just started training, so
what you mean having different variations of different groups and different companies? The Bullet Club begs the difference of that.
Yeah, the Bullet Club.
I think ultimately with the son of Umaga getting into wrestling and this is long-term booking here, folks. Long-term booking. WrestleMania, I don't know, 48. A new battle of the billionaires. We have Umaga's son versus Bobby Lashley's son with I guess there'll be Shane McMahon and then Baron Trump is in Umaga's son corner, I guess.
What?
I don't know what he's talking about, but there is the rumor.
I know what he's talking
Remember, because we had Umaga versus Bobby Lashley with Donald Trump and Vince McMahon, and we can just remix it in 15 years.
But why?
It's still real to me.
Okay, for the people. This is for the people.
Movie like storylines? Ain't that why people hate AEW? Because there's no storylines? I'm just trying to book ahead here. Gosh,
I mean, the rumor is The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That's another member of the Anoa'i.
Yeah, WrestleMania 45 or something. I don't know. I'm just looking way in the future. We're just getting.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Don't you guys happen to have me back?
Well, I don't know, actually. I think he does. I don't.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Brock Lesnar has spawned future generations. Yes, he has he two sons and a daughter. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Brock Lesnar. He spawns people. What's next?
Yeah, go ahead, Professor Bonner.
So remember last week we were having quite a bit of conversation about Ronda Rousey and that match she had with Shotzi at the Survivor Series. Well, she has now gone public to talk about what exactly happened in that match and why there was a certain spot that didn't exactly go according to plan. Now, I believe we have actual footage of what she has to say. Let's take a listen to Ronda Rousey explaining.
I don't know. I don't know if this was on her Twitch or where it was, but she was talking about it.
So let me explain what happened. I actually pitched that spot because I love that she does that, but we couldn't practice it in my ring because the ropes were too loose. So, and then we couldn't practice it when we got to the arena because there was these big cages. So everybody was like, I'd taken DDTs before, but I'd never helped anybody over the floor. So they're like, okay, you got to have your hand here on her leg, another hand on her hip, and you're going to guide her over. And everyone was so focused on got to guide her over. You got to guide her to the floor. That it was literally all that was on my mind when it happened. And so we went over, I was like, guide her. And when she was down, I was like, oh, fuck you. Just go to where you're supposed to go. So, yeah. I fucked it up because I was so concerned with keeping somebody safe. And a lot of times when you see me do something the first time, it's the first time I ever did it. It's the first time I ever did it. I was really concerned with keeping Shotzi safe, and I made it look bad. And you know what? Sorry, okay? Fucking shoot me. Apparently I deserve to be fired or burned. It reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and they're like, burn her! And I'm like, well, what about, there weren't calls to fire anybody when, like, Madcap Moss and Big E were spiked on their heads, and they're like, burn her anyway! Like, I'm so sorry that I was so concerned with keeping someone safe that I made the bump look bad. But what really bummed me out was my favorite thing in matches is turning around a hostile crowd. And we're in Boston, so of course they're hostile because, they're angry at the fact that they live there. And right when we got them, like, turned around with the holy shits and the crossbody into the fans, like, fuck yeah, we're turning it around. We got all the awesome shit coming up. And then Shotzi rolls me in the ring, and they're like, get out of there. You got to be, they're basically like, plan B, get out of there. We're out of time. You got to go. I'm like, what? And she was, like, going up, and I'm like, sorry, girl. And I had, like, run up and throw her down and throw her in the Piper's armbar and get out of there because that's what,
Yada, yada.
Yeah, so that's Ronda Rousey explaining what happened in that match. Now, there's an interesting piece of news that I think this detail will be interesting. Remember, we talked before about Brian Kendrick being the producer for that match? Well, apparently that was the request of Ronda Rousey to have Brian Kendrick produce the match. So this is all so very interesting to me. Now, I do have to do a quick fact check on Ronda Rousey. People were indeed calling for Ridge Holland's head when he broke Big E's neck. I was one of them, and there were several others, right? So there's that. But I mean, there are parts of me that almost feel like Ronda should be in the heel of the day category for this, and here's why. In the world of music, on stage and screen, we have a thing called rehearsal, okay? And if you've never done something before, that's why you have rehearsal. Everybody knows that unless you do something really, really well, the first time to do it or to try it is not during the actual performance. So with that said, Ronda, if you know that this is not what you do, and you are on one of the major pay-per-views of the year, now's not the time to try new stuff, ma'am. Go with what you know if you have not rehearsed it. And so I think that's that goes back to, again, kind of the newbie nature of Ronda Rousey and the thought, oh, I can just do this. Well, ma'am, you can't. And again, on live television and live pay-per-view, there's not a second chance. So thankfully, nobody got hurt. Nobody, ended up being, mortally wounded. But I just think not the most responsible thing to do there, Ronda Rousey.
I disagree with you, Professor.
Go for it.
The reason being is that, yes, she doesn't have as much experience, but working for a company that has the totality of that experience, and then also knowing what's happening. And she said she did mention to people and she was trying. It actually is behoove of the company to say, hey, you guys haven't had a chance to try this, so maybe it shouldn't be done. Like, actually have that conversation. Because, yeah, I think in any athlete's mind, like, you think you can do something until you can't do it. So I think it's more on WWE to say, hey, probably not a good idea.
I'm going to disagree with that because, again, I think people end up making decisions and calls in the ring. Let's hearken back, dare I say, to WrestleMania 19, shall we? A certain main event with a Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle that we've been waiting all of our lives to see. Brock Lesnar decides, hey, you know what? I'm Brock Lesnar. I'm going to do something I've never done inside a WWE ring before because I'm feeling great. I'm going to do a shooting star press to the middle of the ring and nearly break my neck. Got immediately concussed. He was lucky he made the match end. Not the smartest move. So I just think that, you can tell people, hey, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, they've got to make a call in the ring. And it's interesting because she then talked about how, their match got cut short because other matches ran long and they had to end it anyway. Dang, I didn't mean to knock TK out. I'm sorry, TK.
That's nothing you got to say, brother.
She's just like, I'm done. I don't want to hear none of the rest of this.
So, TK get to go practice a shooting star press. She'll be back.
So I just think it wasn't a smart move by Ronda, especially at this stage in her career. She's not given, she hasn't been and especially with Shotzi getting a real opportunity here, I think it just made both of them not look good. And I think that's unfortunate.
You know what? She also made an additional point that wasn't in the video, I don't think, is that she mentioned too that she has been wanting to work with quote unquote newer stars, with mentioning Liv Morgan and Shotzi, which
I saw that.
Both of
and
them
Raquel.
have which both of them have way more experience than Ronda did. Ronda started 2018 and was on and off for a bit. She got pregnant. Shotzi's been wrestling for much longer than her. Liv's been wrestling since 2014. So a good 4 or 5 years of experience from her. I don't recall how long Shotzi's been in the game, but definitely longer than that. Raquel a little bit longer than her, but I mean maybe newer to TV, like prime TV. She means, but in terms of actual experience, they are strides ahead of in ring wise.
I say this with all due respect. I think it is one of those spaces where people are overestimating their value and importance. Is Ronda Rousey, we talked about this before, is Ronda Rousey a household name? Yes, but she's a household name not for pro wrestling. I think we need to be very, very clear about that. People still associate her with whatever she did in the MMA. Sorry, TK, I don't know what I did and said. I apologize.
Just the level of disrespect.
I'm just saying, I think she's overestimating her importance here, and she's got to be able to acknowledge, hey, listen, you know what? No, I'm not the experienced one here. They are. It's not about I want to work with the new people. And ma'am, you're not Charlotte Flair, right? You're not Natalia. You're not somebody who has oodles of experience that you're going to be able to gift to all of these newcomers who've actually been in the space longer than you. So I just think this is why people need to be sent to the Performance Center or do like what they did to Big Show and send them to OVW. Like it's one of those spaces where you have to be able to teach respect for the business. And it's clear that there's not that kind of respect for the business if you're calling people who work longer in this business newbies.
Well, at least we talked about it last week. I think it felt like there used to be a sense of respect and an actual, passion for it. But within this run, it has just been changed. Completely the switch has gone down.
It's one of the reasons why I've never bought into Ronda Rousey in WWE. I love Ronda in UFC, even though, she lost me a lot of money against Holly Holm. We'll get into that later. I lost everything. My wife, my family, my kids, my dog. Anyway, with us another podcast. Anyway, what, huh? But it seems that WWE, WWE has always been a money grab for Ronda. Even like from the get-go, it just didn't seem right. Her debut after the Royal Rumble and whatnot to take away from Asuka winning the Rumble. She's never been palatable to me in WWE. She's always felt like she's better than this, but because her legacy, was so kind of up in the air in UFC, and if there was a coming back from it or not, or if she was done in UFC and it had passed her by because she was dominant in UFC, and then everyone else kind of caught up with her, and she never took that next step in UFC. She's a badass. She's competed on a world level, judo and the Olympics and whatnot, but WWE has always seemed like a money grab from her, and you haven't seen really any improvement on. There's no way somebody who's been wrestling as long as she has now couldn't take in that DDT. It looks like she just didn't want to take the move. And if it didn't want to happen, you just abort it and do another spot or do something else. I mean, Jim Cornette, I'm shocked he didn't spontaneously combust at seeing that move. Just the unnecessary risks that's going on here. And it just seems like there's always something with Ronda, whether it be her criticizing the fans of the product that she works in that makes her for money to talking about working with newer talent, of talent who's been around longer than her that should have been guiding the match. There's just always a cloud of oomph around her that really, after she did leave to give birth, we would have been like, who really was clamoring for her to come back? Was anybody like, man, I can't wait to see Ronda back? It is just one of those situations that we continue to see here. And what has she done to really elevate anything? I mean, the match with Liv was cool, but look at where Liv is now. The match with Shotzi was cool, but look at where Shotzi is now. Just hurry up and give us Ronda and Shayla and call it that. And Shayna Baszler and call it that.
I think it was like, who's Shayla? First off, I want to shout out JD because we shouted him out on Monday, but you weren't here, JD, which, I mean, you're usually here all the time. For showing up to Comic-Con on Sunday to watch our panel with Katrina, Stephanie, and I. So shout out to JD for showing up. I also invited Kane, but I don't know where he was.
I was in the
he was in the hospital.
Yeah, I was in the other podcast.
Telling us earlier.
I was in the back of the head, but yeah.
You missed it.
Missed the story.
It's a whole thing.
Okay. Along with the wife, kids, and the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. As far as Ronda's contract, how many more years does she have left on the contract? Do we think she's going to renew? Which I don't necessarily think she will.
No, not if she just had a kid. I think she seems to be at least maybe starting next year more focused, hopefully after Mania, more focused on her kid and stuff. I would think that she at least extends through WrestleMania, and then I don't know if she would drop it there or before it, but I see her at least going through Mania.
Yeah. Well.
Well, let me answer the Ronda question for you. The deal that she just signed at the top of the year is for 1 year.
There it is.
So
Good.
that makes things very interesting. And
especially with who her rumored Rumble opponent is. I don't see Raquel. I don't see Raquel winning.
Or does Raquel win and send her into the sunset?
Or does Charlotte Flair send her back into the sunset? We'll see. She could lose. I didn't think about that, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. They have Raquel teasing this injury right now. I don't know.
Because the one thing I don't get from a Ronda Rousey, I don't get Ronda if her 1 year deal was started at Rumble this year, because that's when she came back.
Yeah.
That would mean it would likely end of January of 2023. I don't see Ronda as the type to say, hey, let me get an extension till WrestleMania and then be out, so that's where I think if she doesn't sign a new deal, Rumble could be it.
Well, and if she's saying she wants to put over quote unquote newer talent and named Raquel, yeah, maybe. I didn't think about that. Maybe
that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we have next?
So
go ahead.
That is G Money right here, man. I'm ready to talk. Yeah. Speaking of contracts and showing stuff,
TK is in. Wow. So let's go here because TK actually was really the first person to start talking about the concept of a Vince McMahon documentary after we heard Netflix was going to drop that and not do it. She said it should still happen. And we got word that Vice would be doing one. So Vice is doing a documentary on Vince McMahon. It was originally set to debut in October, but the date that it was scheduled to premiere, which was October the 18th, they ended up changing that date because NXT and Dynamite were going head to head on that Tuesday night, and they didn't want to be involved with that. So they have rescheduled it, and it will now premiere this coming Tuesday, December the 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern. It is coming. The trailer for it premiered last night on Tales from the Territories, the season finale. And some very interesting people are in this. Brian Solomon, Brian Alvarez is in this. Dave Meltzer was interviewed for this, as is Vince Russo. This is all going to be pretty interesting to see who's going to be talking about this. It does look like it's going to cover pretty much the start of his career up through what has recently happened with those allegations and the like. How deep they'll go into it, we don't know. But we'll see all of this take place this coming Tuesday, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern on Vice. I am very intrigued to see what this is going to look like, because this is really kind of the first documentary of any type we've really seen on Vince McMahon. So I'm intrigued to see. And again, I don't believe Vince was interviewed for this. I don't believe a lot of WWE people were interviewed for this. So this means that it could be one of those spaces where it's not necessarily the WWE spin on this.
No.
So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen with this one. And that's, again, debuting next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Vice.
Well, I feel like if it's based off of any kind of not reference Vice's kind of track record. I mean, you have the Dark Side of the Ring airing on there. China had hers released, I think, last year or the year before that. They go pretty in depth with stuff, but again, it's going to be interesting what they choose to include and what they don't. Also for time's sake, because there's a lot. Like that man's career like spans at least like 50 years. So I don't know if they're going to hone in on just one time period, or like I feel like it's going to be a timeline of stuff. Maybe I didn't watch the trailer, but
I do know they're gonna cover the steroid trial. That's included in there. And they did even show photos of kind of his last appearance on WWE TV. So we're gonna get an interesting span, but again, 2 hours is not enough time to cover a massive career like this. And by the way, if anybody watched NXT last night, I know TK is going to go for my head on this one, but
I'm getting ready.
Yeah, go ahead. Booker T actually mentioned Vince McMahon by name last night, which is odd. I'm just saying these things are odd, and I don't believe that they're as random as they seem. What it means, I don't know, but another Vince, they were so intentional about never mentioning his name. So for his name, not even just like we're alluding to, you flat out say Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but who's they? And at the end of the day, if they is corporate, it still makes for money. I think once they see the numbers for the documentary that happens on Vice, if they're privy to those numbers, I think they might change their mind. And you can't take away, like I've always said, the fact that without him, there wouldn't be a WWE. There will be several people without jobs. And with this Vice one, I definitely think there's going to be a couple more documentaries, because I would love to see a documentary where you actually have wrestlers talking about their interactions with Vince McMahon, either bad or good. Like I really like. I mean, I know the current wrestlers can't go on Vice to talk, good or bad, but former wrestlers, like I'm really interested to see who they ended up interviewing, or they just had a couple people, because then that. Like, yes, they're pretty, it's not as biased, but you'd still want to see people like The Rock or other people who've had interactions with Vince and, hear those stories that we don't necessarily get to hear. Because beyond seeing Vince McMahon on WWE, he doesn't have a podcast, which will never happen. It's not his style. He doesn't randomly go on Twitter. Like you don't know you're just seeing what we think we know. So to actually have some wrestlers tell some random stories like, yeah, me and Vince were at the bar and we were talking about blah, blah, blah. And like a fight broke out and he actually did like stuff like that. I'm more curious to hear about.
And to that point, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've seen on Dark Side of the Ring, AEW stars allowed to do it. So I wouldn't be shocked if we had like definitely a Jim Ross on there, probably a Chris Jericho. They've been in many of Dark Sides of the Rings. Jericho even like narrated a couple episodes. So I know AEW stars like who are also former WWE stars or talent have been on Dark Side of the Ring for Vice. So I wouldn't be shocked if we had like a Jim Ross or like a Chris Jericho on there.
Yeah, you know what, G? And to your point earlier about Booker T saying Vince McMahon's name on television on NXT last night, listen, unlike my birth, that was not by accident. Okay? Here's the situation that we have. what I've been saying from the get-go with this. We are approaching WrestleMania season. Okay. Vince McMahon will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame come WrestleMania season, and it starts now. It starts with the documentaries. It starts with the reflection. We're gonna get the reason why we don't see him we're gonna get the reason why we don't see him no more out of the way with the non-WWE involved documentary. But of course, Vice sent that over to WWE. Hey, this is cool, right? We can do this. All right, cool.
Well, I don't know that
we're gonna have that air, and then we're gonna have all the good stuff air. We're gonna have all the nostalgia come out. We're gonna have the good documentaries, and oh yeah, okay, what we're doing right now doesn't exist without Vince McMahon. Okay, he's he's done professional wrestling, so he's gonna get his flowers, and then we're gonna send him to the sunset, come to Hall of Fame, and that's it. And then we're gonna be in a new era.
And
this starts right here.
Well, it's part of the reason why I keep mentioning these random mentions of him, because I do think it furthers the point that it is like easing his name back into the conversation from a safe space perspective so that people see that it's starting to be okay. It's happened only twice, but it's 2 more times than it's been for the last half of the year. So it's gonna be interesting. And I do know that the Netflix one is continuing. At one point they had stopped it, but they are continuing to go forward with that. So it's gonna be interesting. I think once we get to 2023, I think we're gonna be we're gonna have a space where there will be multiple ones in the universe. And with that said, could it lead to the induction in April? We'll see. It seems like we're getting the breadcrumbs to something like that.
Because if not now, then when? If not now, then when will he be inducted?
And he hasn't been convicted. There's still, when was the last story they actually talked about the whole money thing? Was it like the end of summer, September?
It was
Laurinaitis got released, and
it was October when the third quarter stuff came out, and they had the special counsel who had given their recommendations to the board, and they had disbanded that, and that's the last we've heard. Now, let me give credit to Vince McMahon and say this. Now, obviously, we give him credit for all the stuff he's done. That's without question. But the credit I want to give to him right now is he did what a few other folks would not do. He just went away and stayed quiet. He's not bringing unnecessary attention to himself, such that when his name is re-released, people can have certain things that they remember and not the freshest thing of all of this foolishness going on. Unlike other people who just won't be quiet and just keep putting themselves out there, and they keep making us want to put them in boxes and stuff because they put themselves out there. So I applaud Vince McMahon for being able to say, I'm going to go away and chill for a bit.
Well, he can also go away and chill for a bit. The people who have, who come back, it's usually, a bank account issue. Like literally, I'm not in his pocketbooks, and, we already don't necessarily know with all the money, but I'm willing to bet, if I was a betting woman, that he could literally go and travel the world a couple times and he'll be good financially, like the family be good. And that's when you can afford to go away. That's when you can afford to quit your job and not like, all right, I'm out. Like not a lot of us could do that type of stuff. So I think to your point, yes, but we can't give him all the credit. He could afford to do that and still be fine. And on top of that, I also don't think that's his MO. His MO is not to drop the bomb on whoever. If there are other parties involved, that's just not his MO ever. So I think he's just on par to who his character is and who, what his financials look like. But, we'll see. We shall see what happens. And I think with that, we can. Again.
What? Wait. Vince. We don't talk about Vince that much. We really don't. When was the last time we talked about Vince prior to this?
October and all of the summer.
Yeah, and we're in December.
Yeah, he should still be in the box because we're still doing speculations whether he's gonna make to WrestleMania. You're looking for those random, Booker T said Vince McMahon. You saw Vince McMahon in the corner of the Raw, like.
Wait, it started with a Vince McMahon documentary that is airing next week. That's how we got here.
Yes, and he's going back in the box.
And they're gonna, you're right. We're telling
next week when we talk about what happens in the documentary.
Yeah,
I mean, people try to jump out the box way too often, and it is what it is.
From one box to another, though. Gerard, I know you have fun with this one, so
but please, because I'm probably very close to getting some sort of crazy to me. So go for it. Another person with a documentary coming. Yeah.
Yes, Ric Flair, December 26th. I mean, Ric Flair has just been teasing, like his last match wasn't actually his last match, and nobody really knows the answer to this. I just don't think his last match was really his last match personally. But a good friend of his, Conrad Thompson, who leads a lot of like ad-free shows and really put together StarCast and his last match and all of that.
Son-in-law, right? Not just a good friend, a whole son-in-law. Yeah,
that's true.
Really good friend.
That's true. He recently said, and I quote, "I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's clickbait," to basically people saying that, he's gonna like have another match and stuff. He said, even when we talked about the Rumble, he's like, somebody reported that I'm going to the Rumble. I'm not. I'm just going to be at the 30th anniversary Raw. I am going to be in San Antonio, but I'm doing a signing with Spider-Man, but I'll bring my gear and bring my robe. Hell yeah. I'll be number 30. It's a joke. He said it's a joke.
Is it?
He said he's not going to be in the Rumble, but it gets people buzzing. He says, but the reality is Ric Flair's not going to wrestle again. But I mean, is he really? Is he not? Is he really? I don't know.
You know what? Bump that. Make the Rumble for the WWE Undisputed Universal World Galaxy Nebula Championship and have Ric Flair win the Rumble so he could do the "with a tear in my eye" promo one more time. Do it one more. You think Ric Flair could shed tears at this point? But anyway,
probably does.
So make the tear in my eye. Make it happen.
Well, I mean, Ed saying it, Ric Flair will never, in my mind, have a last match until he isn't able to actually be in the ring. I agree.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you,
when you're seeing Steamboat and they're around the same age, like, I mean, when you seeing your peers, now resurfacing, then it's just kind of like, I can too. Once an athlete, always an athlete in your mind.
I'm sorry. Billy Corgan needs to find out what money he got, throw the bag from Smashing Pumpkins tour merchandise, figure out something, throw the bag at Ric Flair, and Ric Flair's last match has to be for the NWA World Championship, fam. If we really want to end this correctly, do Ric Flair versus Tyrus. I would have preferred Trevor Murdoch or Magnus. I mean, Nick Aldis or whatever, because Nick Aldis kind of reminded me of Flair a little more, but whatever. I want to see Flair holding up that championship and warring off in the sunset. It got to happen that way. Yeah. Boy. Just good. I mean,
I actually almost kind of agree with Kane.
Yeah. To JD's point. I know, right? Yeah. I don't want to empower this to happen. It'll be the only thing being empowered with Billy Corgan.
Oh shit! You make a good point, Nikki. Nikki, you make a good point.
Wow.
Tom Latimer is Flair's former
ex-son-in-law. That's right. With Charlotte. I don't know. They could turn into a shoot really quick if rumors on the internet are to be believed about their last interaction. Then we don't know. We want to get down with that.
Imagine Andrade and Charlotte.
They were married 2 whole years.
Thomas Latimer versus Andrade in a Charlotte on a pole match.
No.
Wow. Like a Judy Bagwell in a pole match. You gotta retrieve first person to retrieve Charlotte.
Camille would kick your butt just for that, Kane.
Oh yeah, that's right. Camille hit it. That's right.
You deserve it.
That's right. That's right. Charlotte and Camille on a pole match. Whoever retrieves whoever figure out.
No. Can we kick him off of here?
Undisputed Wives Championship. Whoever gets
Can we get Kim out of here?
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I just ironed that. Yeah, I'm malfunctioning.
Want to like hook you up with like a woman who is very strong and she just manhandles you.
You know,
I want to watch it.
That's what you need to go for on Tinder now.
Well, that's going to be, again, if you guys want to see that, subscribe to brandarmy.com/WWT live. Exclusive TK Trinidad photos as well.
Wow.
We had the previews earlier, so y'all trying to make money or not? It's the holidays. Allegedly.
Wow.
We need extra cash for the holidays.
I have what is it called?
You have an account too, Ella?
I'm trying to find the heel of the day.
Okay, plug it. All right, cool. Yeah, plug it everything.
Wow.
G, plug yours too. Hey, heel of the day.
I'm trying to find that clip.
Heel of the
day. Heel of the day.
And I love JD's comment. The mic isn't big enough for dry time.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Wow.
All right. Well, what do we have next?
I don't even know.
From two strong women in the form of Charlotte and Camille to two badass women of AEW and WWE. They were recently spotted at an NBA game together. That being Naomi, Trinity, and TBS champion Jade Cargill.
Buddy, look at that melanin. Whoa, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Are you okay there, Kane?
No.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Sorry,
I'm
guys.
just, man. They just.
I'm going to post a video now, too.
Yeah, they posted a video, too, together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just saw this on my timeline. Oh, this is the IG one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I saw the Twitter one where it was just like Naomi walking behind. I didn't even know what it was at first. Also, it was coming from Naomi's account, and I was like, "Oh man, they just hanging out, bro." They should have like just started fighting people in the audience, like it was just wow. I mean, them. You look at them together, and it's like, I kind of want to. I want this to happen. Like I want
them to step on you.
Like what? What's happening?
Well, on the Brand Army account, you got to pay for that. But for basic cable television purposes, I want to see this tag team on AEW like together. They look so good together. Like I really enjoy just like that energy that they had. Oh, that's money. They got to figure out a way to get AEW World Women's Tag Titles or something like that, and put them on. I guess you'll be Trinity and Jade Cargill in AEW, but they look like money, man. And if
there already another wrestler that had the name Trinity
in AEW,
not in AEW, just in wrestling in general, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it was like TNA, right?
Yeah,
I know that.
Well, I mean, they looked amazing, and we are going to keep all speculations in the box. So, anybody else have anything else to say?
But before you put it back in there, I'm just saying, man, the ultimate baddie. If the angle was built up that if it comes out that Naomi and Sasha couldn't reach an agreement to do whatever to come back, and Jade starts teasing like, you know what, the baddies have let me down for so long. I can't do anything. Y'all let Nyla Rose steal my championship. Y'all let all this stuff happen. I need the ultimate baddie. And it's Naomi come walking out. That's a game changer if Tony Khan can book it correctly the following weeks. But that would be fire to have that happen.
A very big if.
But would it be a demotion for Naomi to go in and be somebody's baddie? Shouldn't she stand on her own? Like they could be partners, but she should be her own woman. Like she's not a Funkadactyl. She's not like she's Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she is I mean, if these last 6 months have taught us anything, it's taught us that she is a star, a standalone star. You know, when they were at that Atlanta Hawks game, it wasn't Sasha by her side. It was her standing in her own power and Jade standing in her own power, and those two stars shining immensely. I don't want to put her in a space where she now has to be somebody's lackey. She's worked too hard for that.
She won't be the lackey. That's what makes her the ultimate baddie. And if one's a power and the other a power, sounds like the mega powers to me. Word to Macho and Hulk.
But not as a baddie.
Well, she wouldn't be like standing behind Jade. She'll be next to Jade. It'll be like, yo, I got somebody here who can finally be next to me. That's what I'm saying.
Let's be honest. If she were to be booked, like she wouldn't be booked like that, because all they're gonna see is, okay, I have one black woman, now I have two black women, then one has to stand behind. They wouldn't have two black women in a power position at a company. That's just not where we are right now, and I don't think people will be able to see that just based off of the bookings that they have for women at AEW at this point. So like if the bookings were better, then I'd be like, okay, what you're saying, Kane, is, I could see it happening, but
Naomi will be the biggest. Naomi Trinity will be the biggest acquisition. That word too, all the words. Naomi will be the biggest acquisition to AEW's women's roster.
Yeah, but will they be able to actually do a proper story?
And I don't think true game changer.
That part.
And then we'll just be we'll be even more upset because we were excited that it happened, and then they're going to squander it, and then we're going to be pissed off, and then we're going to bring Tony Khan out of the box again to talk about how shitty job he's done with his stories, and then the cycle continues, and then we're going to want Naomi to go back to WWE to be part of what she should have been part of, the dynasty which we've been talking about for so long, and it's just kind of like, just give us what we want, people. Like, just do it.
I just want to feel the glow.
Feel the glow or something. And or if she doesn't want to come back and do more amazing things, which is possible, then let her do that. I mean, again, this is
fam,
back into the box. Back into the box.
What if Bow Wow? What if Bow Wow?
And for
what if Bow Wow's bringing Naomi?
Oh God! For those who are just joining us and who are not familiar with our show, we have several people in the box. Naomi and Sasha, for obvious reasons, are in the box. Just because we don't want to be on the speculation train and talk about all that. So that's the reason Naomi and Jade looked absolutely amazing. We're not going to speculate where Naomi's going, what she's up to. She's going to just drop picks when she feels like it, and we're going to appreciate those picks and call it.
They look like money, though, boy. I saw that. I said, ooh, money. Because the moment I saw Jade Cargill, and I was like, ooh, that's money. And she's been that. Like, she has been that. She's probably one of the most biggest wrestlers from AEW that casuals know. When I was home for Thanksgiving, my cousins was like, oh, I know that girl. They knew some of the old, and they knew like WWE stars, but they didn't really know a lot of the AEW homegrown talent. But they knew Jade Cargill, who's going on a year of being TBS champion come January. So shout out to Jade Cargill. She's like one of the most bankable stars that AEW have. And my girl cousins love them some Jade Cargill and Bianca as well. But for AEW purposes, amazing. Jade Cargill, my girl cousins. So shout out to them. You guys know something that's not speculation though? William Regal. It was confirmed today by one Anthony Khan that William Regal will be leaving.
Isn't his name?
Yeah, Anthony Rafiq Khan.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, it is. If you're gonna do it all the way.
Yeah, the whole thing, like John's Wilkes Booth.
Or shall we call him AR Khan?
I actually prefer that name other than TK. So I
do too.
I think
we now anoint him AR Khan.
AR Khan.
Right?
Well,
like a billion publications. You need to start this trend officially. Just saying, it's now on you.
I enjoy that very much. My guy AR Khan announced that William Regal will indeed be departing AEW by the end of the year. It all apparently happened during the Toronto shows. During the Toronto shows, William Regal made a request to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan had to think about it. And in the midst of all this, on a serious note, there was serious things happening in Tony Khan's family, including his mother having a stroke and had a second stroke around Tony Khan's 40th birthday. So, you know, my heart goes up to his family and speedy recovery to his mother and whatnot. But Tony Khan's been dealing with a lot, and he got a call that William Regal had approached Mega, who handles, of course, everything corporate-wise for AEW, and Regal's son, who's unnamed, but we know is Charlie Dempsey, who looks like money as well. Seen him last night on NXT. Yes. Regal wants to be in a situation where, you know, he wants to be back with his homies in training. And of course, William Regal's not going to be an active professional wrestler. He may not be on camera, but just to be behind the scenes to help. And, you know, kudos to Tony to being like, hey, you know, I understand this. Thanks for coming to me, and we're going to figure something out that mutually benefits us. And of course, we saw last week with him and MJF hitting him with the brass knucks, and he's up out of there. So William Regal will be back in WWE sooner than later. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I'm not shocked. We saw Triple H tease it prior to Survivor Series War Games, and also like William Regal said he wants to be with his son during his golden years in wrestling. And, you know, I feel like it was said that William Regal was thought of as like a lifer to WWE, and obviously he was released at the time Triple H was away, and Triple H thought he was going to be a lifer for a while, and obviously that was all under the Vince McMahon regime. So now that Triple H is back, I feel like it's only kind of right that, you know, William Regal's back as well, especially if his son is now kind of rising to prominence in NXT. Right. So I mean, it works for him personally too.
Yeah, I mean, we see Triple H once again. You know, he's Thanos with the glove on and Infinity Stones, and Regal's coming back. What a big get for WWE to have Regal back in NXT. When you kind of think of that authoritative figure, when you think of NXT, it is Regal to kind of help set up everything. His run in AEW, I feel, could have been so much better. That's not his fault. It's just the way it was booked. The Blackpool Combat Club never just really hit on all cylinders like we thought it would, you know, and I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit. The name was badass, the concept of it. When it was just, you know, Mox and Danielson, I thought that's when it was just like incredibly ill. You know what I mean? Willa Yuta, I was like, okay, he's like a young lion, cool. Claudio just kind of coming from nowhere, which I know they kind of had to alter the plans because of Punk's injury for Forbidden Door and whatnot. It didn't really make any sense. We never got to see all four of them team up or anything like that. So it felt like a waste. And I think Regal could kind of see what was going on. And again, he came back in October, you know, so this is post media scrum with Punk and whatnot. And just was like, he won't say it out loud, but he's probably like, man, this is amateur hour, dog. You know, and there's nothing that I can do to save this. And I've tried, but you know, I think my usage will be better elsewhere. And he's gonna go back and make that happen.
Yeah, and going back to something familiar with, you know, somebody like Triple H who's worked with before makes sense. I mean, this is a great thing that you can go back to your former employment. But I think I'd said this on Monday. What is it really saying? Because, you know, when, you know, Vince was running WWE and everybody was jumping ship, and now it kind of feels like people are either quiet whispers or actually happening that people are now leaving AEW, wanting to go back to WWE. So now with that being said, that's like, okay, well, what's really going on in AEW behind the scenes? Of course, we're seeing a lot of different things, but you know, what's really going on that you're like, nah, I don't really care how much you pay me, and I might have to work more, but I want to go back to, you know, my former. So, you know,
this really feels like history repeating itself. It feels like we are back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, where it was super easy for people in the early 90s to jump ship from WWE and head over to WCW. But then right around 98, 99, when things got a little murky, all of a sudden we saw folks jumping back. When we saw X-Pac jump back, and we saw the Big Show make his way over, and then we saw the Radicals, and we saw, I mean, think about it. I can't mention his name, but he had just won the world title the night before and then quits the company. Like, that is a major thing. And so if we're having this moment now where somebody with the experience of a William Regal is like thanks but no thanks, you know, that speaks volumes. And then think about this. When he goes over to AEW, there's tons of young talent to work with. Obviously, he must not have been given that kind of opportunity. And look at the talent they have now in NXT. All a bunch of young guns, all a bunch of fresh people who, you know, and all these new folks that they're bringing in. Man, he gets the opportunity to literally mold the next generation of WWE. How do you not jump on that? With your son there too?
Yeah. And, you know, ultimately, I want to give props to William Regal, who's been one of my favorite wrestlers forever. Talking about the Lord Steven Regal WCW days. And I can never put my imph on it why I always enjoyed Regal, even doing the working man gimmick. He's a man. Like, you know, I just always enjoyed Regal, right? But think about how he went out in AEW. He went out doing business. Even if the storyline was convoluted and they had to find a way to make chicken salad out of chicken-ish, he still did the job. He did the bump to further elevate a young talent. And everybody I know, you know, this is the #1 women's wrestling talk show in the whole galaxy, so they watch this show. Take notes, talent. That's how you do it. You just don't vanish or tweet about it or do whatever. He did the job on the way out to elevate the storyline. He did business. What a concept. Professional business. Okay. So Regal made a deal with the devil, and this is what happens. You get knocked out in the back of your neck and laid out, you know, and then you wake up in Orlando, Florida, training your son. So MJF's a good guy after all. He told William Regal to go home and be a family man. I ain't mad at it.
Up next,
Vintage wrestling facts.
Yeah.
Is
that the first time you're actually hearing it, Kane? Have you been gone that long?
I've been gone to November. And beyond. No, I just like hearing it because clearly we spend a lot of money on promo and imaging here on Women's Wrestling Talk Live.
It is, yeah.
Well, for today's vintage wrestling facts, let's go all the way back to 1997, where, believe it or not, WWE, they were, of course, still doing monthly pay-per-views, but they were wrapping up a series called In Your House. That was really where they started going into this monthly space. So this day in 1997, they presented D-Generation X In Your House. Now, what's significant about this, it was the first pay-per-view from WWE since the infamous Montreal screw job. Now, the idea that it was named D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels was the kingpin of that. Of course, the screwing of Bret Hart prior to said a lot about where WWE was. The main event saw Ken Shamrock take on Shawn Michaels, and he won by disqualification. The disqualification happened when Owen Hart made his return to the company that night and attacked Shawn Michaels. The other interesting thing that happened there was that Taka Michinoku defeated Brian Christopher in the final of the tournament to crown a new WWE light heavyweight champion. This, of course, was the title that preceded the cruiserweight title, and the cruiserweight title really came over from WCW. And strangely enough, those who may not know, that light heavyweight championship was originally created in 1981, but yeah, we hadn't seen it since that particular point. So that happened then. Also, TNA, they had a pay-per-view in 2008 on this day called Final Resolution. And this was interesting because the main event had a group called the Main Event Mafia. That was Sting, Kevin Nash, Booker T, and Scott Steiner. They defeated a team called the Frontline, which was AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and the Dudleys. Now, what was interesting about this 8-man tag is that the TNA World Championship was actually on the line in an 8-man tag. Right. And the main event,
whoever got the pin became champ, probably.
Well, believe it or not, Sting retained the title since the Main Event Mafia won that match. So I guess you get by with a little help from your friends, such was the case.
What year was that?
2008.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
2008.
Were you alive then, Ella?
Ma'am.
So Funny.
I was about to say I was literally 6 weeks old when that Degeneration X
I was
in
gonna
your
say.
house event happened.
was like
And again,
in
I'm getting
utero.
whomped just for simply being alive, for existing. I was about to say I was literally 6 weeks old when that in your DX in your house pay-per-view took place.
Wow. Good Lord.
And Ed was there, and I was 6 weeks old. Sorry,
That's
Ed.
hilarious. Well, last but not least, and well, I'll just say this, and you'll insert whatever joke you need to. This day in 2014 was Ring of Honor's final battle in New York City. Yeah, they've been doing final battle there for a long time. And in the main event, Jay Briscoe retained the ROH World Championship by defeating a certain Undisputed Era member named Adam Cole. Jay Lethal was the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He defeated Matt Sydal. And then more members of the Undisputed Era, they were known as Red Dragon. Then that would be Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, successfully defended the Ring of Honor tag titles against a team called the Time Splitters that featured Alex Shelley and Kushida. Far cry from what might happen on Saturday when Ring of Honor once again presents Final Battle. Happy birthday, John Moxley and ACH. These are your vintage wrestling facts.
Vintage wrestling facts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What an amazing drive through history, man. It just makes being a professional wrestling fan absolutely amazing. I remember every single one of these. The main event Mafia, man, you were to talk about something that was really, one of those things, because I really did enjoy TNA. If TNA would have had just like one decent TV deal, because now
was pretty good.
What was that?
Spike TV was pretty good.
Then Hulk Hogan
all
came.
The time on Spike TV. That's true. Fair enough. But
that was the thing, and they was always moving. Like you just couldn't find them. It was just hard to find them all the time and moving. There was old Destination America, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But but now you can watch them on like Pluto TV. Like Impact continuously shows a lot of the old stuff. So I highly recommend go back and showing that. Of course, there's a viral clip of Booker T doing commentary and beating up everybody on the mic. Booker TC's Creed, kick. Oh, it's just amazing. Like TNA did really have some dope moments. So go back and watch those. But yeah, Degeneration X in your house again. Ella was like 2 days old. Like
6
that was
weeks.
amazing.
Thank you
Go
very
back
much.
and watch that. It was so it's funny because Degeneration X was in your house and Ella J was out her mom. So she got to really enjoy that as a youth. And it was just
what's funny is I was born 3 weeks early too.
Well, you couldn't wait to watch the pay-per-view, clearly.
I guess clearly, yeah. When I shouldn't have been watching that young during the Attitude Era, I was way under.
Hey, it made you the amazing wrestling personality you are today. So
yeah,
you're gonna
that's
get it popping, girl. You know
I
what I
don't even know
mean?
what's happening right now.
Big facts right there.
Wow. I guess you know what. On that note, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Oh, don't forget CM Punk.
Listen,
we got to talk about Punk. Go to CM Punk's Instagram stories, and you'll see he posts some very interesting photos. I don't think we have it up here, but we CM Punk tweeted pictures of him or IG stories of him in WWE, including one with Ella J's homie at the Mickey James as well. So
yes, he did.
We saw
I did
Mickey,
have it.
We saw Mickey make her surprise appearance last January. But yeah, Punk speculation. Here we go. Of course, he's injured at the moment, doing a lot of not UFC, but MMA commentary. So, if he adds Mickey James and Mickey James responds, please tell us, Ella. Please tell us. I'm gonna
delete that. I like that answer. Delete
is TK looking at it now?
Yeah, I'm trying to
go back.
Let's try this again.
I didn't even know Punk had us IG. I just thought, look at that.
There it is.
But first of all, I really enjoy Vin Festus, now Luke Gallows in the background.
Yeah, in the background. Slam next. And rubber.
Go back, TK.
And all that. Oh my
you
God.
see it? I don't know. Go back again to Punk on the top rope. I think it's like the second one.
Yeah, in the background, you just see Festus on the Titantron.
Yeah, so it's like, is he facing like Jesse, or is it like is he teaming up with Kofi to take on Jesse and Festus?
Definitely 2009, so I don't know.
Yeah, biscuits and gravy.
This might be 2008. This is 8 or 9. It might
Great
be 8 actually if they're showing
song.
Festus.
Yeah, great theme song. Biscuits and gravy. Jesse and Festus. Love that tag team.
Oh my god, Slam Master J.
Slam Master J. That's right. Yeah. Wasn't it supposed to be like a Grandmaster Sexay thing against him or something he was trying to set up? Maybe eventually.
I think that's the wrong era.
But I'm saying like they were trying to bring back Brian Christopher as like
maybe.
Sexay, but
I don't know though.
You know, they got to get that right. Yeah, man. Shouts to Terry Gordy, all those guys, man. I love wrestling. I'm happy I'm back. It's clearly everyone else is too.
Wow. Kane, where can everybody find you?
Wow.
That's how we feel. That's how we feel, buddy. I ain't even mad at it though, man. That's facts. If you think about like Final Battle 2014 and Final Battle 2022, and I get it, it's different and blah blah blah, but sheesh, you know, Samoa Joe against Juice Robinson just randomly, you know, I'm with it though. We're gonna get a little build up tonight for it. Feel free to follow me at Kane McCoy, CainMcCoy. At the one box.
I almost hit remove from stream by accident, but I didn't.
Get this guy out of here. He's done enough.
Professor, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Away. Away. No, you can find me at Bonnerfied on all of the platforms. I'm so nervous with my face just right there.
It just shows up
at Bonnerfied on all the platforms. Big show for Southern Honor Wrestling happening this Friday night, where we will absolutely be crowning a new SHW champion. The latest show from Championship District Wrestling is now available on our YouTube page, and some cool commentary happening there as well. With also, I should tell you to watch it. Billy Gunn shows up, so you'll want to go and watch the show. It's a really, really cool show. And
did you guys scissor?
You have to
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay, watch to see. And then there is a really cool thing I'll be talking about probably as we get closer to January, as Georgia Wrestling History Awards is going to be doing its first public award show and gala, where I'm sure like commentary of the year and stuff will be awarded and all that jazz. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, you can follow me at Bonnerfied.
Thank you, Ed. And I apologize in advance for any of Kane's comments.
I'm sorry too, brother. Yes, yeah. This disclaimer. Thank you, Ella.
Wow. So wait, we're gonna find Professor. He's gonna have his own, was it OnlyFans account, scissoring or something?
What?
No,
Brand Army. Brand Army. Yeah, we're gonna Brand Army. OnlyFans takes too much money. OnlyFans takes too much money from its creators. Okay. I heard that.
Allegedly.
I don't know what's,
well, I mean, it's multiple streams of income. That's the only way to live in America. Ella. Allegedly. Ella, speaking of multiple streams of income, Ella with 3,212 jobs. Where can everybody
you can find me on Twitter at It's Ella J. That's the easiest way. If you go to the link tree in my bio, you can find my links to Instagram and all my other. I still have to add some. I've been too lazy about that. But if you go to the link tree, most of my links are there.
3,225. We actually just had an interview drop with Taya Valkyrie. Definitely go and check out our website for that. Really great interview with Taya as a fan of the show. She's been on the show multiple times. She is amazing. So definitely check out that interview with Nikki and Santana. They were the hosts for that. Check out our website, www.talkpod.com. Check out our social media at www.talkpod. And I think that's about it. We will be here on Friday. Next week is the last week for WWT Live until 2023. So get in all that stuff. I believe, Ed, you said you just followed us and you subscribed and all that good stuff. So, you know, watch the back episodes because they're quite as hilarious as well.
We still need the return. Kane, your resolution is to get better at Tinder, and we need updates for your show because you've been slacking on here. You know, we thought this was going to be a weekly thing and you're slacking.
Wow. Being called out by Ella about your Tinder dates. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the last time he did something, he got sick, and we didn't see him for a while. That didn't sound good, though.
That makes me sound like a TLC verse in Waterfalls. I suddenly sound like the second verse of TLC's Waterfalls all of a sudden. Yes.
Yeah. So wait, have you been dating, Kim? We might as well just get an update since we're here.
I mean, we got calendars with dates on them, so yeah, sure.
You can follow me on everything at cked. Thank you guys so much for watching WWT Live, for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.